What's up? It's me, Sang, and you're listening to Take Five Podcast. If you're new here, you're welcome. Here we talk about everything. And if you are an old listener, welcome back very much once again to another podcast. Thank you for listening to this. Um, I know it's been very, very long since we did a podcast, and it's just too many reasons why. I don't know if I should tell you. Maybe I should. Um, First is this podcast is a hobby. So while trying to do real life things like adult things, trying to do this, trying to do that, and all that, it's hard to keep up with this hobby because I don't get paid. I don't get any sort of money doing this. So it's hard to keep up with real life problems and real life things, career or like goals or whatever is that you're trying to do. It's hard to keep up with that. I wish I could turn this into money. I really wish I could, but right now it's just not possible. And number two, I don't have a proper studio. I don't have a setup. I don't have a proper camera, nor do I have a proper background, nor do I have a proper microphone to do all the recording. I'm just literally recording this in my room right now. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's bright, it's sunny, and there might be background noises. So just uh, putting that out there. So yeah, all these reasons. So I am not able to do this consistently, but um, it just made me feel so so happy and excited when that one person consistently told me to keep to upload a new podcast and that this person is waiting for a new episode. So I just found it so, I don't know, like, I don't know how to explain this feeling. Like, I thought no one would be listening to this podcast. I know, like, maybe one or two person from my family, maybe my sisters would be listening, but I just didn't expect anybody apart from that would be listening to this podcast. But when I got that message from that one person on my Instagram that he's waiting for a new episode, I was like, shit, shit, now I have to do a new episode because I cannot let them down. I cannot let this person down. So this is for that one person, okay? If you're listening to this podcast, this is for you. Also, I want to put it out there that I am not a mentor. I'm not a guru. When I talk about whatever shit I talk about in my podcast, I don't know shit about life, okay? Whatever I talk about, it comes from my own experiences and it just comes from conversations that I have with my friends or with my family or just like that, okay? I'm not trying to teach anybody how to live your life. I'm not trying to tell you what is right and what is wrong. I'm just doing the best that I can and then I'm just yapping from experience. That's it. So take whatever you need to take and don't take whatever you don't want to take. So yeah, today I want to talk about conflicts. Um, Most times when we talk about or when we think about conflicts in any relationship, whether it be with family, with your siblings, with your partner, or whatever is that, with your friends, we always take it in a very negative sense. But today, I want to talk about a different perspective. I want to talk about it with a different perspective. Conflicts, they get a bad reputation. And it's understandable because most people don't actually grow up seeing them handled well. If your early experience of conflict came from your parents who argued in unhealthy ways, especially in an Asian family, like shouting, blaming, or all the kinds of conflict that we usually see growing up, you likely learn one core idea, and that is conflict damages relationships. So our instinct becomes either to avoid it completely or to fear it when it shows up. But the thing is, this conclusion is based on how conflict is handled, not on conflict itself. Conflict in its neutral form simply means two people having different needs, perspectives, or expectations. That's unavoidable in any relationship. The absence of conflict doesn't mean a relationship is strong. It doesn't mean that relationship is going great. It just means that people are suppressing how they actually feel. They are suppressing their honesty. Let's talk about how healthy conflict and unhealthy conflict looks like. Let's talk about unhealthy conflict first. So, unhealthy conflict looks like attacking the person instead of addressing the issue. Number two, trying to win instead of understand. Number three, bringing up the past to gain leverage. Like, remember when you did this? You have all the receipts, you know? And it also looks like shutting down or walking away without resolution. This is something that I do whenever I have any sort of conflict with my partner. I just kind of shut down. That is very unhealthy. So this creates emotional insecurity. Over time, it teaches us that disagreement equals danger. But healthy conflict is different. It's not about winning. It's about clarity. It's about two people coming together and understanding each other. So this is how it looks like. First, both people stay focused on the same issue, not on each other's character. We're talking about the issue here, not about pointing fingers at each other's character. Second, emotions are expressed, but not weaponized. You know, like there is space for you to express your emotions, but it doesn't sound like don't act so emotional and things like that. There is space for both perspectives to exist. So in healthy conflict, you listen and you try to understand both the perspectives, yours and the other person, even if you may not agree with them, even if you may not agree with their perspective, yet you try to understand where they're coming from. And lastly, the goal is resolution or understanding, not dominance. So we are not trying to win here, we're trying to understand here. So when it is handled this way, conflict can do three important things. And what are those? First, it builds honesty. Without conflict, people edit themselves to keep the peace. That creates shallow relationships where important thoughts and feelings remain unspoken. So you just shut down, you just remix yourself in such a way that you do not offend the other person. And by doing so over time, that bubble is going to burst, right? Second, it builds trust. When you see that a disagreement doesn't lead to rejection or damage, your brain rewires. We start associating conflict with safety instead of threat. So basically, our brain goes like, okay, having conflict is not actually a bad thing. Okay, I don't have to run away. And third, it strengthens the relationship. This is very important. Working through differences creates a deeper understanding of each other. You learn how the other person thinks, reacts, and needs support. Without conflict, there is no way to understand the boundaries of the other person, to understand the needs of the other person. But it is only through healthy conflict that you can understand what the other person is trying to tell you or where they're coming from. So this is another good point of having healthy conflicts can bring to you. So the real distinction is not conflict versus no conflict. but it's actually about destructive conflict versus constructive conflict. So if you grew up around unhealthy conflict, your discomfort makes sense. It actually makes sense that you want to run away. It actually makes sense because growing up in an Asian family myself, I never understood the concept of healthy conflict versus unhealthy conflict. It's only when I grew up now that I understand why conflict is actually important. Healthy conflict is actually important, and it's a necessity for to make a relationship strong and healthy. But that's not what we see growing up with our parents, right? It's not like they tell us, hey, you know what? Your dad and I were just having a small disagreement. It's not about you guys, okay? Don't worry, everything's fine. We're just gonna talk it out. That's not, this shit's not gonna happen in an Asian family, all right? So I grew up running away from conflict. I grew up thinking that it's something to be avoided by all means and that is not good for a relationship. But now my brain is rewiring and changing the narrative towards conflict. So instead of asking, how do I avoid conflict? I think the more useful question is, how do I engage in conflict in a way that makes the relationship stronger? I think that's the important question that we should ask ourselves. Because in lasting relationships, whether friendships, family, or partnerships, conflict is not a sign that something is wrong. If it is handled well, it is a sign that the relationship is real. So that's it for the podcast today. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you soon again. I promise. All right. Take care. Bye bye.